What is Nate Diaz saying about Daniel Cormier? The bad blood is boiling again as Nate Diaz unleashes a fiery rant, calling out Daniel Cormier with some seriously harsh words. We're diving deep into what sparked this renewed feud and why Diaz feels so strongly about the former champ. 3 UFC fighters are out. The roster is shifting as we reveal the 3 fighters who have been released from the UFC following tough performances and missed weight. Who's next to go? Sean O'Malley's star power questioned. Is the Suga show losing its shine? We're breaking down why Sean O'Malley himself feels his upcoming fight isn't generating the same buzz as his title bouts, and what it means for his future. And a massive bantamweight clash is set. Get ready for an explosive showdown as 2 of the UFC's top women's bantamweights are slated to go head-to-head, with major implications for the division. You're watching news, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss a second.
Your brand new iPhone deserves the best protection, and the iLume 3-pack screen protector plus 3-pack camera lens protector has you covered. Don't take risks with your iPhone. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Nate Diaz rips bitter little b asterisk TCH Daniel Cormier in heated rant. It's safe to say Nate Diaz isn't a fan of Daniel Cormier. Diaz's strong feelings toward Cormier stem from past comments made by the UFC Hall of Famer and commentator, who said he wouldn't have wanted to see Diaz headline UFC 306 at the Sphere. That prompted an aggressive response from Diaz, who claimed Cormier is not a fighter, reigniting their beef years later. What the F***ck happened in your career then? Why are you an analyst now, Mr. Know-It-All? Diaz said of Cormier on this past weekend W. Theo Von. Talking about what I should have done when I made more money than you ever made in your whole career at any fight, Mr. Champion. Those are the kind of mother F***ckers that need their asses beat. Annoys the F***ck out of me. This dude is boring as sh**t. I've never seen a single DC fight in my career, except for when I was on the same card as him one time. And he was picking up the dude, walking around like he just owned him, and then I looked back at the screen and he was knocked out on his ass. That's the only DC fight I ever saw, and he wants to talk about what I should do and how I'm not a good fighter. I'm like, are you mad because you were the champion, and when I was nowhere near champion, I got paid way more money than you? That's a F* seeking bitter little b TCH who's analyzing fights. You're a great wrestler, DC, but you can't fight for sh**t. You're a F* seeking big all p *SSY. Remember when he cried? Nate Diaz's record sucks. You cried. Cormier's most recent comments toward Diaz were about his fight against Mike Perry on MVP's inaugural MMA event, May 16 on Netflix. Cormier said it's the fight he's most excited about on the card, but it doesn't represent the best welterweights, and that the lineup isn't better than UFC Freedom 250. This heated exchange has fans buzzing, but what does it mean for these UFC veterans? Stay tuned as we break down the fallout, and then reveal which 3 fighters are no longer with the promotion. 3 fighters released from UFC after weight miss and back-to-back losses. On Tuesday, 3 fighters were released from MMA's premier promotion. Luana Carolina was among the fighters let go, a decision that won't surprise many fans. There had been calls for her dismissal after she missed weight by 8 pounds ahead of her cancelled fight with Melissa Mullins at UFC London back in March. Carolina finishes her time in the UFC with a 6-4 record, but most will likely remember her for being on the receiving end of Molly McCann's spinning elbow knockout in 2022. Antonio Trocali has also been shown the door after a difficult 0-4 stretch in the octagon. The Brazilian middleweight made his debut in June 2023, where he was stopped by Shara Magomedov. He then followed that up with first-round submission losses to Tresian Gore and Mansur Abdulmalik. The final blow came after a unanimous decision defeat to Mantas Kondratevicius at UFC London. Bruna Brasil is the 3rd name on the list of recent departures under Dana White's leadership. She finished her UFC tenure with a 3-5 record, most recently losing at UFC Seattle. Alexia Tainara picked up a decision win over Brasil this past weekend, marking the 7th time in 8 fights that Brasil has gone to the judges' scorecards. These roster moves often signal bigger changes ahead in the UFC landscape. But first, is Sean O'Malley feeling the pressure, as his star power is being called into question? Where's the buzz? UFC White House doesn't seem as big as a title fight for sliding Sean O'Malley. Former UFC Bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley went from main event title fight at UFC 316 to co-headlining status at UFC 324 to the middle of the card at UFC White House. O'Malley, 31, was once considered the biggest star in all of UFC, but these days is not feeling like his upcoming moment. Against Ayman Zahabi can match some of his previous title fights, like his victories over Aljamain Sterling and Marlon Vera. I feel like the Joe fight felt so big, the Cheeto fight felt so big, O'Malley said on YouTube. The moment being the main event, fighting for the title, this is a huge fight. I'm fighting, it feels like a big fight. I mean, it's the F***King White House. There's only 6 fights on the card. It's such a big deal. It feels like a big fight, but the moment, I guess, doesn't seem as big as a title fight, you know what I'm saying. Swapping fans for a bunch of stuffy international dignitaries probably isn't helping matters. There are also lingering questions about O'Malley's star power based on these numbers. Whether or not the promotion has dropped the curtain on the Suga show after his struggles against Merab Dvalishvili is unclear, but it sounds like O'Malley is not feeling the same hype for UFC White House. Could this be a sign of changing tides in the UFC's star-making machine? Next, get ready for a massive showdown in the women's bantamweight division. Karol Rosa vs. Luana Santos. UFC Vegas 119 adds ranked women's bantamweight showdown. Karol Rosa and Luana Santos will meet in a 3-round women's bantamweight bout at UFC Vegas 119 on June 20, 2026, at the Meta Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a matchup that carries clear ranking implications for the 135-pound division. UFC Vegas 119 is slated for June 20, 2026, at the promotion's Meta Apex facility in Las Vegas. Rosa vs. Santos is scheduled at women's bantamweight, with the division limit set at 135 pounds. With Rosa holding the number 8 spot at bantamweight and Santos sitting at 14, the winner moves closer to the title picture, while the loser risks losing ground in an increasingly busy division. Karol, Rosa enters the fight with a professional record of 19-7 and an 8-4 slate inside the UFC. Born December 30, 1994, in Vila Velha, Espírito Santo, Brazil, she represents the GAEA Project Gym and competes as a career bantamweight who has also made trips to featherweight when the promotion required it. Rosa's UFC resume includes wins over Yana Santos, Jocelyn Edwards, and Nora Cornell, all by decision, showing a steady, high-output striking style backed by clinch work and takedowns when needed. She captured regional gold with an HCC title earlier in her career and owns one UFC Fight of the Night bonus for a hard-fought 3-round battle with Irene Aldana at UFC 296, a bout that drew strong reviews for its pace and striking exchanges. Luana Santos arrives with a 10-2 professional record and a 5-1 mark in the UFC, making her one of the younger risers at 135. Born April 16, 2000, in São Paulo, Brazil, she trains with 11-fight team and has already competed at both flyweight and bantamweight since signing with the promotion. Santos has built momentum with notable wins over former TUF winner Juliana Miller, aggressive striker Melissa Croden, and Muay Thai specialist Tainara Lisboa, mixing fast combinations with opportunistic grappling. Her UFC record reflects a balanced finishing profile with victories by knockout, submission, and decision, which has pushed her into the number 14 ranking at women's bantamweight. Santos, 6 years younger, offers a more explosive, finishing-minded toolkit, coming off a run where she has blended sharp boxing with back-taking sequences and chokes when fights hit the mat. With both fighters ranked and both representing Brazil, the bout sets up as a classic veteran versus contender clash. An AG Fight was the first outlet to report the matchup before it filtered across the MMA news cycle. This is a massive fight with huge implications for the women's bantamweight division. Don't go anywhere, we're recapping all the biggest stories from today's news. And that's a wrap on today's news. We heard Nate Diaz unleash on Daniel Cormier, saw 3 fighters cut from the UFC, questioned Sean O'Malley's star power, and previewed a huge women's bantamweight clash. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let us know in the comments which story you found most shocking. Follow us on all social media platforms for more breaking news.